Welcome to ThinkTech on OC16, Hawaii's weekly newscast on things that matter to tech and to Hawaii. I'm Donna Blanchard.
And I'm Zuri Bender.
In our show this time, we'll cover the Keeping Up with Technology program recently presented at Hawaii Business at Laniakea.
It was moderated by Steve Petranik, editor of Hawaii Business, and featured 4 speakers from the local tech industry.
Technology is constantly changing, and the challenge is keeping up. Any worthy tech manager must know how to choose and integrate new technology into his business and to leverage it for growth on a cost-effective basis.
The speed in which business is conducted these days is faster than before, and the requirement for access to information has never been greater. Companies that leverage tech have increased efficiencies, lowered their cost, and have distinctive advantages over competitors.
The Keeping Up with Technology panel was moderated by Steve Petranik, editor of Hawaii Business. It featured 4 speakers from the local tech industry: Eric Fleckles of Ridgeback Venture Group, Greg Isobe of A&B, Joel Kumabe of the Hawaii State Federal Credit Union, and Marcus Yano of Systemetrics.
Integrating tech into a business doesn't have to be expensive. We just need to know what technologies are worth investing in, how to get the most out of that investment, and what's needed to build an infrastructure that will help you grow as the tech advances.
The Keeping Up with Technology panel was moderated by Steve Petranik, editor of Hawaii Business. It featured 4 speakers from the local tech industry: Eric Fleckles of Ridgeback Venture Group, Greg Isobe of A&B, Joel Kumabe of the Hawaii State Federal Credit Union, and Marcus Yano of Systemetrics.
Eric Fleckles is the principal advisor of Ridgeback Venture Group. He's worked for 17 years in the tech industry. Ridgeback Venture Group is a consultancy with expertise in legal technology, electronic discovery, and computer forensics. He holds a master's in information systems with an emphasis in telecom security and a bachelor's of science in computer science.
Greg Isobe is the IT manager at A&B. He began his career there in 1987 as a part-time intern. After graduating from UH with a Bachelor of Business Administration in 1987, he went full-time. In 1999, he was promoted to IT manager and has been overseeing IT operations at A&B ever since.
Joel Kumabe is a senior VP and CIO at Hawaii State Federal Credit Union. He directs the credit union's tech services and implements its IT plan. He has 30 years of tech industry experience and 15 in banking. He got his bachelor's in management information systems and his master's in business administration from UH Manoa.
Marcus Yano is COO at Systemetrics, which provides computing infrastructure services for the business community. With his background in IT business management, he is able to bridge the gap between business and tech. He likes to break larger technical concepts down to identify their true business impacts.
The program at Laniakea opened with remarks by moderator Steve Petranik and Stan Louie of Hawaiian Telecom, a program sponsor.
Welcome to this panel discussion on keeping up with technology. I'd like to also bring up and turn the microphone over to Stan Louie, who is the Director of Business Sales for Hawaiian Telecom.
On behalf of Hawaiian Telecom, I want to welcome you to this panel discussion. Let me introduce the panel of speakers that we have today. First up, let's see, they're not in any particular order, but I'll go this way. Joel Kumabe, he's the Senior Vice President and CIO of Hawaii State Federal Credit Union. He's responsible for directing and controlling the credit union's technology, electronic services, and he's also looking at what the future of his business is in terms of technological needs and challenges. The next person is Eric Fleckles with Ridgeback Venture Group. Eric is the principal advisor for Ridgeback Venture Group. Ridgeback Venture Group is basically a consulting organization. They have expertise in enterprise and legal technology systems, electronic discovery, computer forensics. On the very end is a good friend of mine that I've known for probably over 15 years. That's Greg Isobe. He is the IT manager for Alexander and Baldwin. The last person is Marcus Yano with Systemetrics. He is the Chief Operations Officer. Marcus and I got to know each other real quickly, real fast, ever since Systemetrics became part of the Hawaiian Telecom family. Marcus, basically, his strengths are leadership development and project management, and what he tries to do with our customers like you is bridge the gap between your everyday challenges and how technology can help that. Today, this panel is going to talk about some of the challenges that you as IT managers face and how you can cope with that. We talk about things like, well, it's maybe, do I want to invest in technology today? What happens if I invest in it? Technology is moving so fast, it might become obsolete tomorrow.
Steve Petranik then moderated the panel with a variety of questions submitted by the audience through livesift.com.
You can look for ways to make technology not just a cost center. You might be able to use technology as a new revenue stream. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do.
Technology really should be a strategic decision rather than a cost decision. Wherever your company is trying to go, whatever direction you're trying to head, the technology should be planned so that you can accomplish those goals, in that direction. If not, then really all you're doing is keeping up. You're not really investing properly to do the right thing to grow your business or to head in a strategic direction.
What would happen if your technology failed? So could your business operate if your computers went down? Could your business operate if your network went down? If your computer crashed and you lost all your data? Could you survive? Can you function? If you can, then that'll answer one question, that is that technology is not that critical to your business. But if technology is critical to your business and you will not be able to operate, then it is a strategic decision. It is an operational decision you have to make and you have to invest in. Most people at home, except recently, have few backups of their systems. So if their PC crashes, you start all over. Well, you might lose a few pictures, you might lose a couple of other files and whatnot, but you could probably recover. In your business, if you lost all your files, your accounting system, it might be a lot more difficult for you to actually recover and continue operating.
It's all about the strategy for the company and the company culture, right? When you look at how technology is being leveraged within your business, that's where you get to answer some of those questions. That's where you start to see some of the driving forces behind the decisions you're making or being asked to make, right? So as IT people, and generally I think that's the crowd, you're the one that's tasked with convincing the business ownership that what you're doing brings value to the company, right? So when we look at things right now, security is one of those very big topics. You look at some very large firms that are out there, retail companies that have been hit, right? And if you dig enough into it, you realize that it wasn't because they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. They were. They just didn't have visibility as much as they should have, or they weren't as granular as they probably could have been or should have been, right? They had warning signs all the way along the track. They had many opportunities to intersect it and do something about it. They just didn't see the intrinsic value in doing that. The IT guy that was looking at it didn't understand the bigger picture of how this could affect the business going forward. So I think that's where, when you start looking at it and you ask the person, how, like Joel says, can you afford to operate without technology? What does that hit do to you? And then the next question is, well, what can technology actually do? And that's what you're tasked with answering, of saying, well, how do we automate some of that? How do we lessen some of the mistakes? How do we get better efficiency? How do we, multiply the value that IT is bringing to the business? How do we accelerate that business and bring more revenue in? Because that's what businesses want to do, right? You want to make money. So how do we make IT a part of that to help leverage it to accelerate that?
Because we're a publicly traded company, we fall under Sarbanes-Oxley. So, a lot of our work is spent on making sure that people have the correct access. We have approvals to get access to certain areas. Any kind of changes to systems, we have to document, get approved, and not only, it has to be shown, so we have to be able to prove to the auditors when they come by, okay, this change was approved and we did it. we followed, a set of procedures to, as far as backing up and testing it, and then who approves the final production. So a lot of that is real challenging for companies that haven't had to go through it before, because they'll have controls in place, but it won't be as, standardized or formal, or even hard copy. People will get emails and say, okay, I got approval because they emailed me this. Well, a lot of people want to see a form, they want to see what exactly was granted and that you got signatures. So we've had, we're working with we acquired a new company, we're helping them to become compliant, and that's been a real challenge, is just to get them to understand what things need to be put in place. And so even when we put in new systems, we have to make sure that they're able to, they have the audit logs that we need, and just that we can show different types of change management and just user access. So it is a challenge for them.
We also have to consider software because of obsolescence. So for example, Microsoft released an expiration date of Windows XP. So for smaller organizations that have maybe a few computers, it's not a problem. But you got hundreds of thousands of machines that you have out in the business, and you have to replace all of those. Now you have to consider the fact that you sometimes have to replace hardware, you have to replace software, and it's not only the Windows software, but it's all the ancillary software that runs on that might not be compatible. So now what happens is it hits your bottom line. It creates an unexpected cost that some companies may or may not have planned for, because the extent of how deep those upgrades filtered through the number of systems that are affected. So from a strategic standpoint, if you don't plan for it, it can really affect your bottom line, because now if you haven't planned for it, you're reacting. And if you're reacting, that means that you might not have planned financially to accommodate it, nor would you have enough resources to do it as well, because when Windows XP, the expiration came about, almost every consultant on the planet is working on XP upgrades. Well, Microsoft does this on a regular basis as they expire a lot of their support for their servers. The next one's Windows Server 2003 that's going to be expiring soon. If we don't plan for that, it's really going to hit your bottom line. It's also going to affect the strategic direction of your company, because some of the planned projects that you have may or may not be able to move forward because you may not have the money, you might not have the resources, and you might not have the time. So I think it affects both of the categories of strategic as well as I think it depends on who your vendors are. We tend to rely on our vendors quite a bit. We have a select group of vendors that we deal with on third party, because we're a small shop. We have very few internal staff. So what we do is we rely on our vendors quite heavily. We normally reach out to our vendors to ask them what resources they have available. If there are no resources available, then we start extending out our search to whatever partnerships we have. Any friends or people in the same type of business will ask what kind of companies they're using, and then start looking outward circle by circle until we hit someone. But as we were talking about earlier during lunch, being in Hawaii, it's a little harder to find resources because our population is so small. So specialists are really hard to come by, and if you can find a specialist, they're normally busy, or they might not be a specialist for long because they may be hired by someone else.
Although we are a bigger company, I mean, IT staff-wise, Joel and I was talking, we're about the same, and we're a unique company. So we do the same thing. We work a lot with, we have close relationships with our business partners and vendors. I value those relationships, and I also talk to other people in the industry. We do have groups that we belong to. We talk about who we use and who we trust and who we've got good working relationships with. So I would encourage you, as an owner, that talk to other people that are in the same area, or from different groups that you belong to. Find out what they're doing, who they like, and
because you get a much better perspective from them than a vendor. The sales guy's always going to tell you what you want to hear. So, reach out that way and just have that good work relationship with your vendors.
I'm going to try and spin us in a slightly different direction. Only that, to reiterate the point, Hawaii is a really small place, and on the one hand, that's wonderful because we can really network in a way that's difficult to do on the other. But sometimes you just can't find what you're looking for. You can't find the level of expertise or product or some such things. There are amazing resources. The world is a global marketplace, so anything from Elance to Fiverr, I'm not suggesting that you guys should use all these things, but there are a lot of ways to find good companies, not necessarily located here. And with the advent of good communications technologies, I know a good number of people that have interviewed people from the mainland, from other countries, developed a good working relationship and gotten remote consultation that was solid and affordable and got through an issue that they couldn't have otherwise done here. So I guess I'm just going to throw that out there because I really wanted to talk about the closeness of Hawaii and how we can really network and get stuff done and find good folks, but sometimes you just can't.
I want to maybe counter that a little bit. I think being obviously on the vendor side of the house, Eric and I get to see both sides. Prior to me joining Systematics, I was on the other side of the house. I worked for a private company, in charge of their IT, their project management, their corporate training, all of that. So I understood the challenges when I stepped into this role of what I was looking for in a vendor and that partnership, right? And I think that's the key to it, is understanding the partnerships and the capabilities of the partners that you're working with, right? What resources they have, where they can go. Hawaii's a small community, right? And like they all mentioned, specialists are a little bit more difficult to find, and they're expensive when you do find them. So finding vendors that have the ability to leverage that, have existing relationships, that is key, right? And getting out and going to events like this and doing that and educating yourself, establishing a network and connections are going to go a long way, right? Because then when you invest money, you know that you have a pretty good idea of what you're going to get before you write that check, right? And so that's the key, is that I think Hawaii, we do have talent here, we do. It might take a little bit more digging, and it may not be as readily available, but it is here.
All in all, this was a valuable program for the people who came, including business owners, IT professionals, business operations managers, financial professionals, data managers, digital marketing professionals, and of course, the general public.
Hawaii Business Magazine is doing more and more of these business panel programs, both at breakfast and lunch. It's worth following what they do to find out what you need to learn to successfully participate in the Hawaii business community. Check it out at hawaiibusiness.com.
And now, let's take a look at our ThinkTech calendar of events going forward.
ThinkTech broadcasts its talk shows live on the internet from 1 to 5 p.m. every weekday afternoon. If you missed the show or you want to replay or share any show, they're all archived on YouTube.
Visit thinktechhawaii.com for our live stream and YouTube links, or to join our email list and get these links and program advisories on our upcoming shows.
We also invite you to be a part of our live audience at our downtown studio in Pioneer Plaza. Contact Jay at thinktechhawaii.com. Raise your awareness in every way on ThinkTech.
ThinkTech will present its 15th anniversary celebration from 5 to 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, December 11th at the downtown Laniakea YWCA. We're calling it ThinkTech United.
Robbie Alm, formerly the Executive Vice President of Hawaiian Electric, will speak at this program. He is one of ThinkTech's directors. He will speak about leaders and leadership in Hawaii, one of our most important assets and one of our greatest challenges.
ThinkTech United will provide an opportunity for our hosts, guests, moderators, and speakers to reunite. And all of our viewers, listeners, supporters, and friends are also invited to unite. Come join us and be a part of it on December 11th. For further details and to sign up to attend, visit thinktechhawaii.com.
Aloha, my name's Keli'i Akina, president of the Grassroots Institute of Hawaii and a proud host on ThinkTech Hawaii. I'm going to be somewhere very special on December 11th, and I hope you're there too. It's the 15th anniversary of ThinkTech Hawaii. We're going to bring together all of the hosts and many of the guests, as well as our board of directors and our staff, to celebrate. We've got a lot to celebrate. We're bringing conversations that take place nowhere else on the planet, and you're part of that. We want you to be there at the ThinkTech Hawaii 15th anniversary. That's going to be December 11th at 5 o'clock to 7:30. Heavy poo-poos and a lot of wonderful people. We hope to see you there at the Laniakea Y. And register. Go online to www.thinktechhawaii.com. Aloha, and see you on December 11th.
And now here's this week's ThinkTech commentary.
I'm Donna Blanchard, and this is a ThinkTech commentary. I'd like to talk about the weather. My friends and family in the continental East and Midwest received an unexpected early pounding from Mother Nature last week. Temperatures plummeted and more than 12 inches of snow fell from the sky and stayed on the ground in places. And there's a difference, you know, if you've ever lived in a northern state. That first snowfall doesn't usually stick around. While we here in Hawaii were digging out our sweaters because the temperature dropped below 75 degrees, people in a wide swath across the right portion of the country worried that their livestock might die in the cold because they hadn't prepared for a storm just yet, and human lives were lost. There's a fearsome beauty and grace to a powerful winter storm. Snow absorbs sound and creates a strangely relaxing quiet. That blanket of snow covering homes muffles the noises of everyday life, like snow blowers, snow plows, and the scrape of snow shovels against driveways. It reflects sunlight to create surreally bright days, and then reflects the moon to light up the night from below. It sparkles and crunches and has a particular fresh smell that even I can't describe. And it turns out that winter storms are also good for our economy. And I'm not making light of this, but there is a positive measured result of cold temperatures. And I'm not just talking about record numbers of babies born 9 months after a blizzard. Economists have long known that sunshine is good for the economy, perhaps because it makes us feel optimistic. But recent research suggests that cold weather has an upside too. As reported in The Economist, Ming Dong and Adrian Tremblay of York University examined correlations between weather and the main market index in 49 countries and found that very cold weather is associated with higher returns. They surmised that cold stimulates risk-taking, referring to psychological studies in which participants recorded increased aggression as temperatures dropped below -8 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know that I agree with that hypothesis. I do know that cold weather makes you move faster. You move from your house to your car and from your car to your office as fast as you possibly can. Perhaps we get accustomed to snap movements and snap judgments. But how about cabin fever and going just plain stir crazy when you're homebound because the roads haven't been cleared yet? That's enough to make one jump on the internet and buy a new pair of Uggs. There's also a very happy feeling that comes from being cozy at home while the wind whistles around you. And when you do get out, that's cause for celebration, i.e. dinner and drinks on the town or an afternoon spent in the mall. Though I absolutely love and am ever grateful for our weather here in Hawaii, I just felt it necessary to point out that snow and cold isn't all bad. It causes coziness, babies, and the spending of money, and it makes you appreciate every Fahrenheit degree above 50. And after all, where would Hawaii's tourism be without those beach-starved northern dwellers? I'm Donna Blanchard, and this has been a ThinkTech commentary.
We'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of ThinkTech, but first, we want to thank our underwriters.
Okay, Zuri, that wraps up this week's edition of ThinkTech. Remember, you can watch ThinkTech on OC16 several times every week. Can't get enough of it, just like Duke Oishi does. For additional times, check out oc16.tv.
Definitely, Donna. For lots more ThinkTech videos and for underwriting and sponsorship opportunities on ThinkTech on OC16, visit thinktechhawaii.com. Be a guest, a volunteer, a producer, or intern, and help us reach Hawaii.
Thanks so much for joining us on ThinkTech and for supporting tech, energy, diversification, and globalism in Hawaii. You can watch this show throughout the week and tune in next Sunday evening for our next important weekly episode. I'm Donna Blanchard.
And I'm Zuri Bender. Aloha, everyone.